Hi guys, welcome to the show. So today I wanted to talk about this whole controversy about the Little Mermaid and everybody blowing up on social media about it. Uh, this has been a pretty controversial topic as far as the uh, the casting of Haley Bailey as Ariel, and honestly, um, I understand both sides. So Terrence and I talked about everything that happened at the D23 Expo. A lot of fun stuff on there, and the footage of the Little Mermaid came out, and I thought it was visually stunning. I think that Haley Bailey's voice is freaking spectacular. I think she's going to do a really good job on this, but obviously that's not what everybody else is focusing on. I'm focusing on film. Terrence doesn't really think that it works on film. I think that it's beautiful. It's basically Aquaman, but with the singing mermaid. But visually, I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's great. So, but everybody is all talking about the ethnicity and the changes as far as the character. So let's talk about that. The character of Ariel obviously is a Caucasian redhead. So you're looking at somebody like Amy Adams or something like that. Perfect casting, dream casting, based off of that character. Given that we are in a world where social representation is very important. Now, do we really want to force things? No, we do not. But if there is a character that can go either way, then who cares? It really doesn't matter. So let's talk about that real quick. As far as social representation, African Americans on film, they did not get any representation really until the 30s, and the 30s at the height of segregation, of racism, and all of that. It was really unheard of for any kind of rights whatsoever when it came to African Americans back in the 30s. Hattie McDaniel was the first black actor ever to win an Oscar. Obviously, Sidney Poitier did a lot of good things, but Hattie McDaniel was actually the very, very, very first black actor to ever win an award. So that representation of the African Americans was back in the 30s, and you can just imagine the approval and the happiness, the overwhelming acceptance that Hattie McDaniel had from the African American community for receiving that Oscar. Unfortunately, she was not even allowed to be at the ceremony to get her Oscar, which was really sad, but nevertheless, it was still a representation that was much needed, especially back then. You fast forward to the 1960s with West Side Story, and Rita Moreno is basically the first Latin actor to get an Oscar also for her role in West Side Story. Fast forward to recently, where Ariana DeBose, I hope I said her name right, for the same role more or less, wins the Oscar again as the first openly gay Latin actress to win an award like that. So for Oscar. So the representation is always really important, I think, and to be recognized in that aspect is even more. It just puts a cherry on the cake there. But throughout, you always have those representations as far as black actors, Latin actors, and you have so many films where that is there, where they're playing original characters. Now, there's that part. Now let's talk about about the character part. So that's what everybody's in, because you know what? This is way before Marvel, even though you can blame Marvel a little bit. When it comes to continuity and an investment in the characters, and going through that whole thing with the characters, that whole ride, like when you stepped into that DeLorean with Marty McFly the very first time, and you're going to the future, and then you're going to the Wild West, and you come back, with Back to the Future alone, you can't just watch one, you have to watch all three for it to be the complete story, right? So that's why that movie to me is 6 hours long, but whatever. But anyway, so you have that investment. Now, along with this nostalgic feeling that you have, which is another role that plays in this hate, is the nostalgia factor. But when you're investing just one single character that truly makes an impact, then you're going to want to see some kind of continuity with that. That continuity with that to to make a person feel, because apparently that character hit home for a lot of people, especially girls, little girls that wanted to break free. You know, when you're looking at Ariel and wanting to try new things, and that fear, that fear about what's out there, and don't go out there. You know, Mufasa and Simba, don't go over there, Simba. You know, all of that, you must never go there. You know, you have all of these things that truly impact people as individuals. And there is a disservice to them that they feel more likely that you're taking that away from me. That was a big important part of my life, you know, and I can understand that. I can understand that investment in the journey, that investment in the character, and the possible internal impact that character made on these little girls or boys. You know, so I understand that part, and I honestly feel that is where the true hate comes from. I don't even think it's a Haley Bailey casting at all. I think that it's just a disservice or an injustice to those people that it affected them the most when it comes to their childhood. The nostalgic standpoint of it all, if it did not affect you in that way, and you're just into the character and you want to stay true to what it was, then there's that part of it. The internal disservice that you're feeling or that a person is feeling because of that lack of continuity and that lack of nostalgia. It's not going to be nostalgic to me anymore because that's not Ariel. To me, to my eyes, that's not Ariel. Now, we are talking about a fictional character. Now, for those of you that feel like, you know, that's not my Ariel and that's not this and we deserve change, you know, there's another side to that, you know, and Terrence and I talked about that recently. You know, are we going to have Henry Cavill remake Creed? Is he going to be Creed and remake Creed? Now we have, a white Creed. So, you know, white boxers feel like they have a chance to win at boxing in real life. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Tyson Fury, I love you. But you know, it's just there's just certain things, like, you know, it's a role. It can go both ways. You know, it can go both ways. You know, there can be Caucasians that want to play Blade, or there might be Caucasians or Latins that want to play Spawn. There's different things. So I mean, I get that part, and I understand the representation. I spoke with an openly gay friend of mine, and who I respect very much, because he's a freaking tremendous, fantastic human being. And he made good points as a gay man, talking about not forcing things, not forcing this whole woke generation, and forcing to change the genders or to change the ethnicity of any characters. Make your own. Make new characters. Tell new stories if that's the case. Now, obviously, we're in a whole multiverse thing in Marvel, and there are multiverses in all sorts of in a lot of these properties. Marvel, DC, Star Wars. There's like it's all over the place. So I get it that you can have different ethnicities playing different roles and so forth. But to his point was, let's not force it. Why force it? Let's make new characters, and that's what what would kind of like that it would be the true representation in a lot of ways. But regardless, it doesn't matter, because like, to a lot of people's point, these are not real characters; these are fake characters. But I think dropping that a little bit, dropping that whole, where you're fully committed to the character, that we have to take a check on ourselves. The whole thing with like, let's just say Michael Myers, favorite horror icon of all time. If Michael Myers was black, I would not care, because it's Michael Myers, regardless. Now, if you change the mask color, then I probably would kind of like, I don't know. But regardless, if he was black on the inside, who cares? I don't care. If he was Latin, who cares? I don't care. But it's just, I'm looking at the leads now, where you have different ethnicities being leads and taking the leads on these things. So let's talk about some of that. You have two Latins that are leading Star Wars, with Diego Luna in Andor, and Pedro Pascal in the Mandalorian. Like, that's amazing. That is freaking awesome. And so I'm very proud of that as a Latin man myself. I'm very proud of that. As far as the African American side, I mean, you have you have all sorts of characters out there, and some of them honestly are not forced. They're truly that way. So it doesn't matter. Like, representation is very, very important. I don't think it should be forced, but it should be. There should be some representation at all times. I feel, as a minority myself, I feel that there is not enough equal opportunities for everybody. I don't. I get that, but regardless, it's still important that there has to be a lot of diversity in film, and as far as the kids go, look, you got to think about that. Growing up in the 80s, there was some Latin representation in certain things, but when you look at all the favorite things that we have, RoboCop, this is just me, but RoboCop and Predator and Back to the Future and Bloodsport, which had a diverse as hell cast. You have all of these different movies that was predominantly Caucasian, but you didn't really grow up to that. Now we look at our kids. Our kids get a chance to see different people, and I think that's really important. So it's important that we do embrace this change, and we do allow our kids to grow up with a chance to see themselves on screen. Like we really didn't, to be honest. Like we really didn't get a chance to see that. The most diverse group, in all honesty, from what I remember in the 80s, is watching G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe, you had everybody, you had all ethnicities. You had black, you had white, had Asian, you had, whatever the hell's freaking Globulus was, but you had all of these different freaking ethnicities. So that was my, chance to really see different groups, listen to Roadblock talk compared to listen to Storm Shadow talk. Completely different, right? But, it was still awesome to grow up to that. But outside of that, it was predominantly Caucasian. So, now you fast forward to now, and you have a chance to, let our kids grow to not be so isolated and secluded as far as film and what we see. We get to see so many diverse groups, whether it's black, white, Asian, gay, it doesn't matter. People are people. People are everybody's screwed up one way or another, no matter what you are. So, it's important that we embrace the newness. We embrace the change. We embrace the quality. And if you really, really have something that you have to gripe about, how about we just, how can we make it better? If we're going to have a different color of or representation of an iconic character, how can we make that character better though? Let's embrace the change part, but how can we make it better? And honestly, that goes up to the writers and so forth. But give your feedback on that. Not the hate. I mean, I think having hate in your heart. I mean, I think that's what kind of is killing us in the first place. I don't remember this much hate, back in the day. I just don't, and it's so crazy how it's so one-sided now. It's like we're going in circles, and anyway. But yeah, so the change is coming. Obviously, the change is here, and I think that it's important that we embrace it no matter what. I hope we really get it together. To be honest with you, we're so much better than that. And what about the actress? She's trying. She's busting ass. Her voice sounds freaking magnificent. And Haley Bailey, I think, is going to be a star. She's going to be the future. And what about her? She's busting her ass, and we're too busy worrying about red hair. Like, I think she has red hair. So who cares? But anyway, so hey, that's it for me. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think as far as this whole controversy